Get Advisor Fit with Olivia Looper, a series of interviews with financial consultants and industry experts helping financial advisors strategize, market, and grow their business using core fitness values and analogies. Do something today that your future self will thank you for with Get Advisor Fit. Here's your host, Olivia Looper.
Hey everyone, welcome to Get Advisor Fit. I'm your host, Olivia Looper. My guest today is Kurt Mueller of Apollon Wealth Management. While the firm has offices all over the country, Kurt is an independent fee-based advisor in Augusta, Georgia. Welcome, Kurt. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome to be here.
For sure. Kurt and I, we've been friends for a few years now. We follow each other on social media, so I see each other's posts and each other's children. And, he supports me on my bodybuilding posts, and I frequently drool over all the meats that he smokes and cooks and puts in his stories every day. Oh my gosh. When I'm in a deficit, I'm going to tell you those meats, you don't want to know what they do to me. So, and I even got to the point where I added this $1,000 grill that I said, hey, I want one of those. Tell me which one I should get. And it's sitting in my cart somewhere. And I'm sure I'm going to pull the trigger on it here soon, but
there you
but
go.
I know
That's
it won't taste
closer.
What? Yeah, but then I have to learn how to use it, and you're not here, so that's a problem.
Fair point.
Okay. So, I really wanted to have Kurt on the show today for a couple reasons. Kurt is really one of your go-getter advisors that, obviously marketers, but I guess you could say some marketers wouldn't like them because Kurt knows how to Kurt can figure things out for himself. He goes out there and he gets it done. Kurt is really capitalizing on making videos, especially in social media, over the past couple years. And I think that that's something I really want to talk about today, like how that's been working for you, because I know it's been working really well. But he uses social media to get out there and drum up business. And also he's in a unique position, and he's an advisor that is an independent advisor, but works under a larger, firm, which he'll explain more about. So I think that advisors in that area, they have different, marketing limitations and hurdles and challenges. And so Kurt will talk about some of those today too. So let's let our audience get to know you a little bit. Go ahead and tell us about yourself and your business. What you do, who your main ideal clients are, and the model, your independent model with Apollon and things like that.
Sure. So as you mentioned in the intro, I live in the Augusta, Georgia area, actually just across the Savannah River into South Carolina. North Augusta, South Carolina. So married for 15 years, have two awesome boys, 8 and 5. And I've been in the financial planning industry for it'll be 10 years in January, which is crazy to think about. I started my career on the career agent side. So I started with a large life insurance company and I was with them for about 5 years. And during that time, I realized that I wanted to offer a lot more to my clients. And so I decided to go the independent route. So Apollon Wealth Management as a firm was established in February of 2018. Interestingly enough, by three advisors, actually more than three. It was three partners from the previous career agent life insurance side. And then they brought along about 12 other advisors from that same firm. So I knew all of those guys and gals, just from being in the same, agency with them. And as I looked more at the independent side, I just realized that fit what I wanted to do and how I wanted to serve clients. And so, took a leap of faith and joined forces with Apollon in January of 2019. And my only regret is that I didn't do it sooner.
Yeah, that's when we met around then. And I had just started my business and you were just starting your business. And, we were both I don't want to say babies, but, we were both just jumping in full 2 feet in front of each other at this entrepreneurship thing. So it's been really cool to see each other, swimming upstream and making it. So
That's right. And helping each other climb. And I think to answer the second part of your question, you talked about what are the ideal clients. And it's interesting because I wouldn't say a little bit, I'm actually very unconventional in my approach. And I think unconventional in a good way.
Okay.
I actually look for two criteria, and it's very simple, and it has nothing to do with wealth or money. The first thing I look for is they have to be a good person. They have to be good people, right? Okay. We have very simple. I have a no jerk policy. It's just the way I operate. Yeah. And secondly, they have to care more about their financial future than I do. And so
that is a good one.
Absolutely. Because as you know, and especially like with all the training that you do for your bodybuilding competitions, you could work with a half dozen coaches if you wanted to, but if they cared more than you do, you're probably just wasting money. So,
and there are coaches like who it takes them a long time to figure out what you just said is like, even though there's people who are clients who are willing to pay, if they care more, if you care more than they do, the success rate isn't going to be there and it's just going to drive you crazy.
Exactly. So that's kind of my approach.
That's good. I like that. No jerks. And you have to care more than me.
That's right.
I can't carry you through this. So that's awesome. Okay. Thank you. And I didn't know, that's cool to know that you knew all of these people, at Apollon before, because I know there's a lot of advisors who will be on their own. And then they decide I'm going to go, maybe join this other firm so that I have access to all these other resources or, licenses or things like this. But yours was really you already knew these people and you all were seeking some different model where you could better help people. So
exactly.
That's really cool. I really like that a lot. And I had no idea about that. So all right. So I know just personally, from talking to you and things like that. So you guys all, share a website and things like this. And usually, you use your advisor website as a place where you could post your stuff, but as independent advisors of, Apollon, then you guys kind of do your own outreach. So tell me, what types of challenges, but also perks have you found with this model for yourself?
Sure, absolutely. I think we'll touch on the challenges first. One of the big challenges is as an independent RIA, we would not be the best firm to come to if you were brand new in the business. I often say this to the college students that I speak to, that you don't want to come and train under me because I'm not going to train you. I mean, it's just that simple. Instead, what I do recommend is that if you're brand new right out of college and you want to pursue this career, that you follow a similar path that I did and I started my career with Northwestern Mutual. And I think, I still believe that from a training standpoint, they have some of the best training for new advisors out there. And so I always like to be upfront about that if you are someone that's new, the independent model may not be the best fit. You want to go somewhere where you're going to have the training, where you're going to have the support. And let's be very real about something. And this is kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the room that nobody likes to talk about. And that is, in general, the financial planning industry is not very good at training.
Yeah. I mean, I've never actually said it out loud, but you're saying it out loud. And I would have to agree with you, I think.
And so I think that, if you are taking this in and you're someone that's considering getting into the career, you have to understand that and accept that. Right. And so I think one of those challenges of an independent RIA model is, again, you're not going to receive a whole lot of training. You're also not going to receive leads. This is not like you're working at a bank where the teller can come over and say, hey, you need to meet Mr. and Mrs. Smith, et cetera. It's not like you're working, for an investment bank as the parent company either. So you have to have what I would consider the entrepreneurial spirit, which is, it's a good transition into the advantages or what I like about it. And that is, I'm someone that's very entrepreneurial. I like to build my practice the way I want, work with the people that I want to work with. And you know what? It is high risk, but it's also high reward. And I'm okay with that. And I think you have to, as an advisor, whether you're, a week into the career or 30 years into the career, you have to understand those two key differences there and be willing to accept either one, right? But for me, it's the idea of, I run my practice as I see fit. I set my own schedule. I answer to no one other than, my wife, the man upstairs, my kids, etc. Yeah. I like that because I found out very early on that I was not a Kool-Aid person. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I found out that I didn't, I went to a military college and I don't like being told what to do. So
that's
I found that out too. And so it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing either way. It's just, what is it that, you are looking for? Do you want the more entrepreneurial side, or do you want more structure, more, chain of command? And I think that's how you would look at, both, the different entities.
Okay. I'm glad that you brought this up because I don't think there are that many people that would turn this sort of lifestyle down, right? So I get to pick, I make the decisions, blah, blah, blah. But again, there are two caveats to this. It's high risk. You don't have leads coming in. Your business generation is basically up to you. That means your income and your livelihood is under your own command. And also, the entrepreneurial spirit. Some people just don't have it. They might like it's an attractive lifestyle, being an independent advisor and having these options and having these choices, but some people can't do it. I feel for people who try and just don't have that spirit. And then on some level, I guess you could say, I feel sad for them, but on the same level, I don't, because there are people like you and me and other entrepreneurs that I've spoken with or met with or had coffee with or whatever, who just, and maybe it's like just a spirit thing and maybe it's just in you or it's not. But, I think that's like probably part of some realization that you come to at some point in your advisory career, maybe that you, if the independent model isn't working for you, then you need to consider if it's really fits your personality type or not.
That's exactly right. And I think you said something very important. And that is, if you don't have that entrepreneurial spirit, that's not a bad thing. It's not, it's not like there's a good and bad here. It's just whatever your preference is. And, again, personally for me, I'm more of I have that entrepreneurial free spirit. I flat out don't make a good employee.
Yes, neither do I. I don't either.
Right.
I'm too contentious or something. I don't know. I'm too, I think it's because I'm such a control freak, but that's a whole nother story there. But, so this entrepreneurial spirit, this is why you go out and so from the early days when we knew each other and you were trying to figure out what you were going to do to generate business and we were talking and, I know that you put out a newsletter and, you send emails to your clients and your prospects, but you've also got this video stuff going and I really want to talk about that. So tell us a little bit about the process. How did this evolve? How did it start? And then, how's it been working out for you? I know you started before COVID, right?
I did. Yes. So I actually have a very good friend of mine who I met during my days at Northwestern, who really inspired me. And in fact, mutual friend of ours, David DeSell, who really pushed me to get into more consistent, social media presence and content and posting. And so he challenged me in January of 2019 to get more into that. And so I did. I drew the line in the sand and I said, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to be consistent. I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan, and his main message about social media is consistency. And so I took that and I ran with it and, just built a habit around doing consistent daily videos about all kinds of different things, but mainly just to stay out in front of people and stay top of mind. Ultimately my goal, excuse me, at least from a regional standpoint, is to, if someone thinks about financial planning, I want them thinking of me first. Not necessarily that doesn't mean I can help them per se, but I want to be their first call. And so when I looked at the industry and what they were doing, for the most part, is non-existent, right? Yeah. And I think some of that, of course, there is a very heavy compliant and regulatory nature of the business. I mean, that's just life. Yeah. But I also think that what I continued to hear was, I continued to hear what I couldn't do. And rather than think about what I couldn't do, I said, well, what can I do? Let's think about that. And so I took that and ran with it. And again, it just comes down to consistency. It's kind of like, oftentimes people will say things like, well, I'm so busy. You and I both.
Lars, we're all so busy.
Exactly. And you and I both know what that's a nice way of saying I'm not willing to make it a priority. That's what that really means.
Yes.
And so at the end of the day, I simply make it a priority to stay consistent on social media. Now, candidly, lately, my stuff has shifted a little bit more towards barbecue because I started a barbecue competition team. But anyway, that's beside the point. But I think, it's not complicated.
Balance.
Balance. That's right. But if you're an advisor taking this in and trying to figure out how to work with your compliance department, whether you're at a broker dealer, whether you are an IAR, I think it's just a matter of having the conversation with your compliance officer and getting to know them. They're humans too, right? And getting an understanding of what they are looking for from you and vice versa. So I wouldn't just simply say, well, compliance is going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I would push the envelope. Exactly.
And sometimes I found also that, as sometimes like for example, with, testimonials. I mean, when we first started, that was a big no-no. Now you can actually use them. In certain ways or whatever, but check with your compliance department, see if their rules have been updated, because sometimes things change, like as social media changes or as their different rules change, they update their, what their allowances are, or maybe you just have there's just a misunderstanding of what what's printed on the paper, but actually you have more leeway or permissions than you think, or if you approach it a certain way. So yeah, I'll definitely keep good relationship with your compliance department and, keep up to date on what their latest is so that you can take advantage of what's working. So, so you do your videos, and so which ones do you feel like get the most engagement? Do you feel like there was a spike at all during COVID when people were really looking for financial advice? I know one of the last ones that I watched from you, was like on Fed tapering or something like that. Like, do you find that the more timely ones are getting more engagement, or evergreen, or it's a good mix of both?
It's interesting. I'm always amazed at what gets engagement and what doesn't. And I'd like to sit here and think that I've got the algorithms figured out. I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
I wish I could identify a pattern as to what works and what doesn't. Some of the videos that I put out and I know, it's okay. And it gets a lot of engagement. Others I put out and I feel really good about them and they get hardly any engagement. The bottom line is, especially when all the uncertainty came into play, like in March of last year, and nobody really knew what to do. Nobody was meeting. There were no more in-person meetings. And I just figured, everybody's on social media because they have nothing else better to do. They're either on social media or they're on Amazon buying something. So I figured, if I can't be out networking, because prior to, COVID, I was doing a lot of networking. That was my main way of establishing myself in the local community because I'm not from here. And of course, COVID stopped all of that. And so I figured, okay, what other way can I stay top of mind? Can I stay in front of people from the comfort of their own home? And social media was the answer. And so I actually I would say from, the time that we shut down as a country, for about, 3 to 6 months after that, I mean, I really doubled down and focused my efforts on building the social media presence even more so than I had done. And now, granted, I've made many mistakes in that realm. I could probably write a book on, what not to do. But I think, to answer your original question, I really wish I could identify what keywords get more views and more engagement versus others. I haven't been able to identify a pattern. The only thing I can say that I have identified is when I do the economic recovery updates. Those are once a month.
Okay.
I seem to get more engagement on those because, I guess, in my opinion, I think that people that is more interesting to more people, okay, versus like Fed tapering.
Yeah.
So.
Like, yeah, whatever the Fed is doing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. But so I'm glad that you brought that up though, because, a lot of times advisors get paralysis, like, oh, this isn't good enough, I'm not going to put it out. And the ones who do, sometimes those are the ones that people like the most, or the ones that end up being the most impactful. And then, and so you just never know. You just have to keep being consistent and keep showing up, and don't let this fear of not being absolutely perfect every single time keep you from making an impact and staying top of mind.
That's exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up, because I do want to camp out on that for a second. And I would say this: at the end of the day, one mistake among many that I made early on in my career is that I really embraced and bought into this idea of image, that I had to portray this certain image, and that if I didn't, then I wasn't going to be taken seriously. What I've learned, I've had 2 boys now, and have, gotten older and just really worked on, a lot of personal development. I've learned that if you just simply be yourself, be authentic, be genuine, that's going to go much farther than trying to portray this image of somebody that you're not. And, right now, especially with social media, that's prevalent. A lot of the quote unquote, gurus, and a lot of it's just for show. It's not real. And I think that especially if you're new in the career, it can be very easy to fall into that same thought process that I did, because you're looking at the other people at your firm who have been there 10, 15 years, who are really successful. And in your mind, you feel like you have to do exactly what they're doing. You have to dress like them and all that other stuff. And I'm here to tell you that is not accurate. That is not correct. I would strongly encourage you to simply be yourself, be who you are, like whether, you're on social media, whether you're out watching a football game, or whether you're sitting down with a client, like be real,
Yes. And I feel like, first of all, to touch on all of those things, because this is exactly what I try. This has really been a main theme as I prepare my advisor clients for 2022, is everything needs to be personalized right now. What is the most personal thing about your firm? You. People don't care. I mean, you and 50 other people in their Google search are fee-based fiduciaries. Woohoo. Great. Okay, we've narrowed it down. Now what's going to make them choose you or not choose you? Or, digitally, what are the things that are going to help align them with the right advisor? It's like a magnet. So the more stuff that you can put out there that's genuine about who you are, it's like a magnet. You're going to attract those people. They're going to be able to see you for who you are, decide, yes, I like you. No, I don't like you. Yes, I want to consider working with this person. No, I don't. And it really works both ways. You attract what it is that you're looking for and the kind of people that want to work with you. And also at the same time, repel the type of people that would not be a good fit for you. So this being genuine and being yourself and putting your best, your only face forward is this is really going to be the key, I think, to differentiation in the advisor space. I mean, not that it hasn't been already, but as we move forward. Because now, I mean, and I described COVID as sort of like did this, right? So if there's 6 ways to get from point A to point B, right? Networking being one, the internet being another, putting on seminars, sending whatever, different kind of ways to get to one destination, which is collecting leads and getting new clients, right? So like you said, all of these other things disappeared, these in-person things. So everybody was forced to take the same highway. So when everybody's forced to take the same highway, we're all going to see the same things and see the same billboards and see, we've all been forced into this very narrow space, basically the internet. I mean, things are opening up again, but we've all been forced to look up our services and do our research and learn about things on the internet. And what is going to make you stand out to all of those people is just being genuinely who you are.
That's exactly
better
right.
For worse,
Yes. And you touched on something very important, and that is, you may not have said it directly, but people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care.
I love that. Yes.
And that right there is really that's the message. If someone asked me, what's one sentence you would give somebody that's starting in this career, or maybe even has been in the career for 20 plus years, I would say exactly that.
I would say it's good for anybody, to be honest.
Well, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good for humans.
Yeah. It's good for humans. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I love that. That's absolutely true. And I found that, with it just personally as a client, with advisors that I've worked with or spoken to, about working with, I get bored real easy when you start telling me, and I write about finances, so I know a lot. So I mean, more than the average person about financial planning and things like this. Like, once you start talking about just the stuff, I don't care about the stuff. I want to know about you, and I want to know about how you are going to help me, not why I should consider a Roth conversion right now. I just met you. Like, I want to know how much you care, and then we'll apply your knowledge. And you know what I'm saying? So, and I think that this comes up too, like when we're creating content, and I try to explain, like, there's got to be a good balance in your articles and in your emails between showing what you know, but also relaying who you are and your story and how that knowledge is valuable, how your service is valuable, not just all, here are the facts and here's what you do. And this is why you do this to save taxes and low risk and blah, 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 because it's not really, what people are interested in right away. So
right.
This is a very good point. So Mr. Entrepreneurial Spirit over here with his videos talking about being you. I want to know about the meats. Tell me, I know you. Okay. So you are an amazing cook. I see your grilling and your briskets and your meats I've never even heard of before that look just so delicious on Facebook. So you recently started doing competitions, right?
Yes.
So what is that? And am I getting this right? Do you grill or do you smoke, or is it both? And are they called different things?
So we're Atomic City Smokers is the name of our competition team.
Okay.
And so to answer your question, it's more smoking, indirect heat is, I guess, the technical term of it. But ultimately what it boiled down to is this. I woke up in first part of September and don't really know why that particular day, but I was thinking to myself, I'm really passionate about barbecue. And maybe I read a quote, maybe I was reading a book. Again, I don't know exactly what spurred me, but I said,
something planted the seed.
It did. And I said, I need to share my passion with the world. And secondly, use that to help others. And so the first thought in my head was, okay, well, I'm competitive and I think that I can compete at a high level at these professional competitions. And I'm someone that firmly believes, there is no halfway. right? You're either all in or you're all out. That's just my philosophy. So
I agree with you.
so I said, you know what? I literally Googled Georgia Barbecue Association and South Carolina Barbecue Association and became a member. You know, it's very inexpensive. And then I looked at competitions and I said, cool, there's one in 2 weeks. I called up my friend Kevin, who also has a huge passion for barbecue. And I said, hey, I need some help. I'm doing my first competition. You want to join me? And he said, absolutely. And so me, Kevin, and my brother, we all went up to Cartersville, Georgia to compete in our first competition with the Georgia Barbecue Association. So, but the second reason, you know, not just from a competitive standpoint, but also for just, you know, pursuing my passion. But I would also say it's, you know, when we're not competing, what I've decided to do is start cooking for nonprofits and charities.
Oh,
and so,
nice.
Number one, because I love it. And number two, I was trying to figure out a way to get lots of practice without throwing away a bunch of meat, because I knew that if I knew we couldn't eat it all. And so I, you know, naturally, I'm sure, you know, nonprofits and charities are similar down in your area too. They all need money. And so my first place to go was I got a hold of my son's their elementary school PTO. And I said, hey, you know, here's my idea. I'll buy a bunch of pork butts and I'll cook them and I'll sell them. And then I'll recoup my cost for the meat and give you guys all the net profits. And they were like, so we don't have to do anything? I said, no, you don't have to do anything. And they said, great. So,
yeah.
And so it's for me, it's not just it's the passion, right, for barbecue, because I think barbecue has a way of bringing people together. Like when I think of barbecue, I think of, you know, the kind of the images of like the hot summer months where you've got the lemonade on the picnic table, you've got all the sides, you've got, you know, a bunch of different, you know, pulled pork and brisket and ribs and all this stuff, and everybody's just having a good time. I think barbecue really does bring people together, right?
Yeah.
And so I like that aspect of it. Love the competitive aspect of it. And, you know, it allows me, as my wife calls it, it allows me to have some guy time, you know, which I also think is important, because you know, we're cooking meat for 12 hours, 18 hours. So it's kind of a long time to hang out. And the third prong of that is, you know, how can I give back? How can I use my passion to help others? And so that's what we did. We did that for my son's elementary school. And we made a commitment that we're going to do a charity cook once a month. And so we've already got one lined up in December for another elementary school. They have a backpack program. There is a big problem in our area of a lot of kids that, you know, the only nutrition they get is at school. So when they go home on the weekends, they may not even get any food. So, you know, this program provides basically a backpack full of food for the weekend. And I have a good friend that runs that program. And so I called her and I said, hey, here's my crazy harebrained idea. Just stay with me. And she laughed, of course, and was like, absolutely. So that's what we've got lined up there. And it's just a fascinating, you know, the people, I think, would be the last thing. And I'll shut up, I promise. But
I love it.
The people that I've been able to meet through the Georgia Barbecue Association, through the South Carolina Barbecue Association, it's a family atmosphere. You know, I was just blown away at our first competition by how welcoming everybody was, just willing to help. And again, I just felt like we were part of one big family. Now, we were competing, of course, but it still had that really cool, like, tribe feel, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I love that too.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I know what you're talking about. I mean, I've always felt that way about, you know, food, and my, you know, smoking meats and barbecuing has always been a big part of my childhood. I mean, my dad and my granddaddy were cattle farmers. So, you know, like all the meats and all of this is all part of like very ingrained in like who I was as a kid. And every time a kid had a birthday party, there was this one family who had one of those big long smokers that, you know, you pull behind your truck, and they were at every event, and just everybody gathered around to eat the food. And I mean, and I live in Florida, so it was those hot summer months with the lemonade. I mean, that was like my, you know, what I grew up doing. And so I totally vibe with that. And the barbecue has a special way of bringing people together, like, and building camaraderie. So hopefully one day I will get to try your meats. I guess I'm going to just have to come to Georgia and perhaps, I know that's the next question. Now your wife, I imagine you go to your wife. Okay. We have to have a meat budget now because
True. You know, what's interesting is I actually found a source for Wagyu brisket and Wagyu beef in Pensacola, Florida, of all places.
Really?
Which I know is a long hike from you. But the one other thing that I've been looking at is getting involved with the FBA. Is that right? Yeah. Florida Barbecue Association.
Okay.
Which they are a little bit different too. So there's a lot of these different sanctioning bodies, and each one of them has like their different flair. So It's kind of neat.
That's cool.
But yeah, we are lucky that we're in the Southeast because I've talked to some people in the Northwest, and there's just really not a whole lot of barbecue competition.
I can't imagine there would be
but many. In the Southeast, like, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, pretty much every weekend, there's
something,
with the exception of like December and January.
Well, Florida's only a couple hours from where you are, right? Maybe 90 minutes. No,
I'm up. So Florida would be like,
well, okay. Oh,
like Jacksonville for me is like 3.5, 4 hours. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm up, really up 95 to Savannah, and then you just go 2-lane roads the rest of the way. But I also know that sometimes, when you're pursuing your passion and you've got that, entrepreneurial spirit like we do, that, you make those sacrifices to drive, for 5 hours. I don't think I would be driving like more than 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
Each way.
Well, because then you got like more than, you're spending days in travel.
Yeah. And I think too, the other thing I've realized, and this is, I think you might struggle with this too. I have a hard time, like saying no to things.
Yeah.
And, what I've realized is that a lot of those teams that we're competing against, a lot of those folks, they're retired and their kids are grown, and, they might get to a competition on Thursday and stay till Sunday.
Yeah.
Where me and the other, and my co-pitmaster, Kevin, he has young kids too. He's got a career. This is not his career. Yeah. So, we don't have that luxury yet to spend, 3 or 4 days, at a barbecue competition. But I do think that eventually it'll get to that. Cause I do think there's, an opportunity to, what's the word I'm looking for, to, inspire others to get involved, because I know the barbecue community right now is really wanting more, younger folks to get involved, because it's important for the
next generation of the Barbecue Association.
There you go.
Yeah. Wow, that's all really good, exciting news. I like this. And you would come to Florida. You tell me. You come to Florida, and I'll come north from where I am in South Florida, and I'll come taste the meats.
There it is.
Okay. Well, Kurt, thank you so much for your time today. I absolutely loved having you. If you'd like to learn more about Kurt Mueller and Apollon Wealth or his barbecue competitions, you can find him on Facebook and LinkedIn, or you do Twitter too?
I am on Twitter, yes.
And then, do you do Instagram?
Although I'm most active on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Oh, okay. Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yep.
Or visit the firm site at apollonwealthmanagement.com. If you want to connect with me and my team on social media, you can find us at Lexicon Content Development on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. If you'd like to hear past episodes of Get Advisor Fit, visit the tab on our website, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get all the latest tips from the greatest financial service industry experts and advisors around. All right, guys, thanks for joining us again. Kurt, thank you, and we will see everybody soon.
Thanks. It was awesome.
Thanks for listening to Get Advisor Fit with Olivia Luper. To learn more about Olivia and how her firm, Lexicon Content Development, can help you, visit lexiconcontentdevelopment.com. If you want to reach out to Olivia on LinkedIn, you can find her at Olivia Looper Lexicon. And if you'd like to follow Olivia on Instagram, you can find her at Lexicon Content Development. Till next time.